How's it going, guys? Chris here, and that 5.2 update for Battlefield 5 is pretty much live as of the 5th of December. It's a bloody massive update with tons of tweaks and changes, and most of the weapons in the game have had a complete overhaul regarding their bullets to kill over range. I'm going to get straight into this video because there's a hell of a lot to talk about today, and I'm basically going to cut to the chase and focus on all the main aspects of the update that you probably need to know the most, whilst avoiding most of the teeny little bug fixes which most of you guys probably weren't even aware of. There's really no point of me rambling on about boring stuff all day that's not going to seem relevant. If you really want to see every one of those bug fixes in full detail, you're probably best checking them out on the patch notes, which I'll link down below in the description. So anyway, let's get on with it. I'm going to highlight those all-important weapon changes later on in the video. But first, some pretty interesting things that have slipped their way into the update. A really nice one to kick off with is the fact that DICE have now updated the kill sounds and made them a bit more distinctive. So basically a bit more like they were in Battlefield 1. This is something I talked about way back last year during my beta review, as the sounds up until this point in time have been a bit rubbish and almost non-existent. Now they're going to be a bit more pronounced, and whenever you get a kill, it'll probably feel more rewarding and satisfying. It's taken DICE a while to change this, but I'm glad they've finally done it. Might not be to everyone's taste, so maybe an option to turn it on and off might be a good thing further down the line, but to be honest, I quite like it. Flamethrowers in the caves on Iwo Jima now actually burn people. This was a very annoying bug which needed to be squashed, as it basically rendered the flamethrower useless in those areas, completely ruining successful flanks. Happened to me a few times where I'd sneak up on a bunch of enemies, let the flamethrower do what it does best, only to tickle those enemies, and they'd all basically spin around and shoot me into pieces. So at least now the flamethrower should function how it should in those caves. Next thing to point out is the fact that those Fliegerfausts are essentially getting nerfed. Music to any pilot's ears. You're going to have to be more accurate with them, and they now only fire 2 sets of rockets instead of 3, with a longer delay in between bursts, making them less effective. With that said, they now travel over a further distance before disappearing, so if you're accurate enough, you should be able to hit planes that are higher up in the sky. Very tricky to do, but at least now it's possible. If you simply can't get enough of that M1 Garand ping, well now you'll probably notice it a bit more as you play, because you'll be able to hear the ping from nearby players who happen to be using it. The gun's also had its specializations altered to include a bayonet, so there's been a few M1 Garand changes in the update, and I'll talk more about its damage later on. Dynamite and sticky grenades have now thankfully had their collisions improved to stick in far more predictable manners, so basically when you lob some dynamite through a window, that stick of dynamite is less likely to find its way somehow getting stuck to the window ledge like a confused magnet, causing you to embarrassingly blow up as you detonate it. Let's face it, we've all done it. I think we can all agree that it got a little bit annoying at times. A new small change, which I think is quite a nice feature to highlight, is the fact that when you use throwing knives as a Japanese soldier, you'll now be using the native kunai knives instead of the normal ones, which will probably make you feel a bit more like a ninja. Not exactly a massive change, but it's definitely one that's worth mentioning. A bigger thing to talk about now is the S-mines, which have had quite a lot of changes. They now function a lot more like tripwire bombs did in Battlefield 1, where you put one down and you'll notice that 2 wires jump out from the left and right sides, which connect to nearby surfaces. Running through these wires will, as you'd expect, detonate the bomb, which allows players to deny a larger area of play, making them better area denial tools, all whilst making them easier to spot on the floor. They're also going to be a bit more powerful now if you're near to the S-mine itself, allowing it to one-hit kill if you're pretty much right on top of it. So I guess this makes them deadlier in smaller spaces, but probably less useful for hiding in the open to get cheap kills, as it no longer resembles a little tin can that blends in with the environment. Next up, we've got some tweaks to soldier sounds. Footsteps should be more accurately heard from specific directions and ranges, making them sound more natural, and teammate movements and footsteps should now be quieter than your enemies. So enemies and allies should be a bit more distinguishable, which is another nice addition. Anyway, there's quite a lot of other things in the update regarding the maps, modes, vehicles, spotting mechanics and the UI, which I'll be running over later. But of course, one of the main things you'll probably want to know is how those weapons have changed, because that's probably the biggest talking point of the entire patch. So I'm going to jump into those changes next. As far as the sniper rifles, bolt action carbines and anti-materiel rifles go, none of them have really had any sort of adjustment, so they should all function in the same way as they did before the update. But pretty much everything else has undergone changes, and DICE have given us some info on how many shots it will now take to kill for each. SMGs have generally had a massive damage nerf over all ranges, though close range damage is mainly the same, apart from some of the faster firing guns. Weapons like the Suomi, Thompson, MP28 and the ZK303 with its fire rate boost can kill in 5 shots in CQC, but it can take up to 13 further away. Other SMGs like the MP40, Sten, EMP and the base ZK303 now have a 4 to 11 bullet kill, or a 5 to 12 bullet kill if you're using the Type 100. And a couple of the other SMGs, the MP34 and the MAB38, can now kill in less shots than those over range, resulting in a 5 to 8 bullet kill. As for the assault rifles, these have been balanced to be more effective over mid-ranges, better than the SMGs but less useful than the long-distance weapons. The Rubber Rolls is a 5 to 7 shot kill, the STG-44 is a 5 to 8 shot kill, Sturmgewehr 1.5 kills in 6 to 9 shots, the M1907 SF takes a lot more bullets to kill over range, killing in 5 to 13 shots, and the Breda now kills in 5 to 6 bullets. Anyway, sticking with the assault class, let's go over to those semi-auto rifles. These have generally had damage reductions across the board, but should still be viable over medium ranges. The M1A1 carbine now takes an extra shot to kill over longer ranges, now taking 4 to 6 bullets. The AG M42 is a 4 shot kill over all ranges now. The Gewehr 1.5 takes 3 to 6 bullets to kill. As for the Turner SMLE and the MAS 44, they both have a 4 to 5 shot kill. And the heavier hitting semi-autos with slower fire rates like the Gewehr 43, Karabin, Selbstlader 1916 and M1 Garand, well, they can all now kill in 3 to 4 bullets. The LMGs have been tuned even more to fit in with the other changes. The faster firing ones function more in line with the SMGs, making them stronger aggressive choices but far weaker for ranged gunfights. These include the FG42 and the LS26, with the FG42 killing in 5 to 13 shots and the LS26 killing with 4 to 11. As for the KE7, the Bren and the Lewis gun, they're all now middle ground guns with higher accuracy, all taking between 5 to 8 shots to put down other players, generally slightly weaker than before. The Madsen MG on the other hand is a bit different, killing in 6 shots over all ranges, which generally makes it a better long distance LMG than the rest. As for the MMGs, their effectiveness over range has been nerfed, as the faster firing VGO and the MG42 now both require between 5 to 13 shots to bring other players down. Some of the others like the MG34, the S2200 and the M1922 now have a 6 to 9 bullet kill, balancing them more by taking fire rates into account, and the M1919A6 has a slightly better damage profile than the others, as that can kill in 1 less shot, taking between 5 to 8 bullets to kill other players, giving it decent range in comparison. Shotguns have also undergone some tweaks, as they've had their one-hit kill ranges slightly reduced, limiting their use for aggressive play even more than before. Whilst using buckshot, the 12G automatic now has an effective range of 8 meters, the M1897 has 1 meter more at 9 meters, and the M30 drilling has the effective range of 10 meters, putting more pressure on you to be accurate within those shorter sightlines. And last of all, let's move over to those Recon guns. Bolt actions pretty much remain unchanged, but the self-loading rifles have had some tweaks to fire rates to balance better with other guns changed in the update. Pistol carbines have had increases to fire rates, but will also require more shots to kill over range as a trade-off, with both the P08 carbine and the trench carbine now having the effective range of just 20 meters, restricting their use over longer distances. So obviously weapons are all now going to function a lot more differently to each other, and most of them are probably going to feel more awkward to use for killing quickly over distance. Weapon classes should now feel more distinct, but whether or not this is a good decision to change all of the guns so far into the game's life cycle, well, I guess we'll find out over time. Weapons aside, there's still quite a lot of other things that have made their way into the update too. The map Aerodrome has had a lot more cover added to it in between the flags, so there's more trucks, boxes, rocks and other stuff dotted around everywhere, making it easier for soldiers to run around without getting sniped, which is great because that map desperately needed some more cover added to it. The aeroplane incendiary bombs now have a 1 meter damage area reduction, along with a lower burn time of 1.8 seconds instead of 2 seconds, meaning pilots have to be more accurate with them to get kills, which is good news, because those incendiary bombs were really getting bloody annoying. And as an infantry main, this should make deaths by them feel less cheap. Remember the Outpost game mode? Well, that's now got new map setups for Aerodrome, Pacific Storm and Iwo Jima. The Outpost game mode itself has been adjusted quite a lot, with different recruit limits, available vehicles, and loads of minor changes to its gameplay. Now you get points for shooting down spotting flares, netting you 50 more points whenever you do. A nice little addition. There's a new option in the settings that allows you to disable or enable character lighting, which basically makes soldiers look a bit brighter than the rest of the environment, which tends to help with visibility but might look a bit unnatural to some people. Something else designed to help combat the visibility issues is a new spotting icon which pops up over enemies within 10 meters. This spotting icon doesn't make enemies appear on the minimap, just in real time for yourself only, and it only appears if the enemy is within your line of sight too. This is mainly designed to help differentiate nearby enemies to teammates, and generally makes them easier to see if they're hiding in places like bushes or dark corners. There's also now a new indicator to show whether you've been spotted around the edges of the minimap. You'll notice that it'll start blinking and some text will appear, giving you a bit of extra information and allowing you to react accordingly. You'll probably also notice a few other changes to the minimap, with enemies now looking a little bit different as they're displayed. But the spotting mechanic itself has been nerfed a bit, because the spotting duration from a scope and eagle eye traits has been reduced from 12 to 10 seconds. Spotting flare's duration has been reduced by 20%, meaning it'll now last for 24 seconds instead of 30, and its radius has also been further reduced by 25% too, meaning it's going to cover a smaller area. So these are just a bunch of the main things I'd say are worth pointing out about the 5.2 update. Obviously there's a lot of stuff to get our teeth into here, and I know that a lot of these changes and tweaks, especially regarding the weapons, are definitely going to have a very mixed reaction. I'd love to hear your honest opinions and thoughts about it down below in the comments, so feel free to get your voice heard there. The 5.2 update isn't the only thing coming in December, because the new map Wake Island is also on its way, and is scheduled to be released within the next couple of weeks. There's also a few new guns that will be released throughout the rest of the month. The BAR M1918A2 is coming up next week, and other weapons like the Type 97 MG, the Nambu Type 2A, and the M3 Grease Gun are all also going to be popping up in the game at some point in the near future. So there's still a bit of content coming to Battlefield 5 pretty soon. But anyway, if you want to see the full list of patch notes and find out every one of those bug fixes and changes, I'd definitely advise you to check out that link in the description. That's it for this one, folks. Hope the video helped you out, and subscribe for more content coming very soon. And I'll be seeing you in our next episode.